right, welcome everyone, aloha. What we are going to check today is we're going to be looking at some broken engine mounts on this. This is a Type 4 motor out of a VW bus, a 1974 VW bus. It's a 1.8 liter with dual carbs. So I bought this engine recently to replace an engine that wasn't functional in my bus. And I listened to the motor, everything sounded good, but then when we pulled it out, I discovered that this bar, this engine support bar right here, is not attached properly to the engine. And when I looked in there, I could see that both motor mounts were broken. So I ordered some new motor mounts, and now I'm trying to figure out what the easiest way to replace these would be. Unfortunately, since everything's underneath here and then tucked behind the fan shroud, I've had to do some disassembly. So first thing I did was I loosened this bolt right here, and that allowed me to rotate the alternator enough to get the pulley or the belt off, and then I was able to unbolt the 3 bolts inside the fan itself and pull this straight off, and I've just left the bolts in there for now. Well, before I even did that, I pulled the muffler off, and now the next step is going to be to pull this the fan shroud housing off. There's 4 bolts right here that I'm going to undo, and then hopefully I'll be able to access the engine mounts under there without too much hassle. I'm afraid I may have to take a header off, but I'm going to see if I can possibly do it without taking the header off. I'm kind of hoping I can snake the engine support bar in there without disassembling too much. So we'll see how it goes, but I wanted to document the process in case anyone else has to replace their motor mounts on a Type 4 motor like this. So there were a few things in the manual that weren't covered, and according to the manual, once you detach the cable from the thermostat up here, and these 4 bolts right here, the fan shroud should come free. But I found a few other things, and there's probably more that I've been working on. One, there's a screw right here that goes through to release this so that the alternator can be freed up. I also found that there's some little flaps that go over here that they're screwed on that kind of attach the fan shroud to the headers there, or the heater boxers. And there's a bracket right here that I'm going to need to undo right here, and then hopefully it'll come free. It's getting there. It's loose, but I'm still working on it. So unfortunately, I did have to take the header off. There was no way I was going to get that darn engine mount bar off without that kind of clearance. But I did take the right side heater box and header off. It was a bit of a pain and a bit of a balancing act, a little bit sketch underneath there. But I worked carefully, and now you can see where the engine mounts are broken. I was able to undo those, and then I should be able to mount new engine mounts on there, get that bolted back up, and put everything back together. Wasn't easy, unfortunately. Here are the broken mounts over here. You can see where they broke. And then I'm replacing them with these guys. Hopefully I can work it in there. I still haven't been able to get this bar out, and I don't think I would be able to unless I pulled that header off too, which I don't want to. So I'm trying to mount these without pulling anything more off. And I wasn't able to get the fan shroud off because I'm guessing here, but these studs won't allow me to get enough clearance to pull this thing off, and I'm just wondering if maybe the previous owner put studs in there instead of bolts. I'm guessing. This is holding me up too, right here. But anyways, hopefully I can get everything off without taking any more apart. All right, so here we are with kind of reassembling everything. I've got the motor mounts attached underneath there. I was able to do it without pulling the fan shroud off all the way. I was able to separate the fan shroud out enough where I could drop a long extension to my socket all the way down. I think it was a 13 millimeter that attached the top of the motor mounts, and I put a little swivel head down there in the bottom. So I was able to drop that down enough so I could remove the old ones and then tighten the new ones back. So now I'm at the process of reassembling everything, cleaning everything up. A couple of things happened when I took the heater box header off. So all of the studs, the entire stud came out. What's supposed to happen is this nut is supposed to come off, but it looks like somebody put a lock nut on here. So the whole thing came out. So it's going to create a little bit of a challenge when I go to put that back on. A couple of things to kind of keep in mind. I think to make this job easier, you would use an engine stand, which makes it easier and safer than what I have going on here. I would suggest removing both headers just to make it a lot easier. I was never able to get the support bar out, and I was kind of working in a really tiny place to get those new mounts put on, the old mounts off. So that can be a little tricky. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this opportunity. The person I bought this motor from did not have the thermostat on. So this is a thermostat we tested. It works properly. So I'm going to take this opportunity where I have lots of room to work under here to put a working thermostat on, feed that back up, and of course that attaches to this lever right here to operate the flaps, the heating and cooling flaps in there. So that's where I'm at right now, and I'll video the next step of the process in a few minutes. All right, so I finished buttoning up the motor. The last thing I have to do is put the exhaust back on. The job ended up being quite a bit bigger than I imagined. Allow probably a good 4 hours. That's about how much I took to complete the task, and that doesn't even include pulling the motor, so it's probably even a little bit more than that. And then a couple of things to keep in mind. You're going to need, you could probably use a engine stand, which would be very helpful, and plan on probably taking your headers off to really make that task a lot easier. Next step will be reinstalling the engine and making sure that everything fits and everything works as designed. All right, thank you. All right, mahalo for watching, and hopefully that video was helpful for you.